Namo. Thank you for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. The second mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression, I vow to cultivate loving kindness and learn ways to work for the well-being of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I will practice generosity by sharing my time, energy, and material resources with those who are in real need. I'm determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others. I will respect the property of others, but I will prevent others from profiting from human suffering or the suffering of other species on earth. For our Dharma lessons, we're reading Ajahn Munindo's book, Unexpected Freedom. And today we're finishing a chapter on what is renunciation and a section on strategic frustration. After wanting has arisen, three options are available to us. We can gratify the wanting, which momentarily gets rid of it, such that the relief from the irritation of desire may be perceived as pleasure. The more often we follow this option, however, the more we increase the momentum of wanting and gratifying. In the long run, we tend to become less peaceful. The next option available is to repress the desire and pretend we do not want anything, which is to impose a blind judgment on it. The third option is that we choose to hold this wanting in our awareness. We can hold it. As a result of doing this, something wonderful happens. The energy that is experienced as desire returns to being raw energy. That energy can truly motivate practice and lead us to a much greater happiness than that associated with the gratification of sensual desires. So, frustrating desire is not something for a few weirdos who live in monasteries because they don't know how to enjoy life. Renunciation is a way of actually learning how to tap into our deep inner well of energy. When people ask me about renunciation, I encourage them to investigate for themselves and not merely accept unexamined opinions from others, including me and my opinions. Try it out and see. If you're struggling inwardly with something that is difficult, like sadness, for example, and you find it hard to let go, notice the characteristic of the struggle. You feel that you want to let go, but you can't. You ask yourself, what is this holding on that I am doing? What is all this extra baggage that I'm carrying? A lot of it is just habit that comes through not really taking the time to get to know desire as it really is, as a movement in our minds. We too readily assume that we must take sides for or against our desires without first inquiring into the reality. Desire is not the way it appears to be. We can ask ourselves, do I want to live according to the patterns of desire with which I've become conditioned and limited? Or do I want to live in a state of freedom by maintaining here and now judgment-free awareness? I never cease to find this an inspiring contemplation. Renunciation, like desire, is not what it might first seem. Skillfully going against our desires is not going to make us less happy. Please don't think that this practice is especially difficult or only for a few individuals. We all need to know how to live consciously with the authority to follow that which our heart tells us is true. We are all potentially able to direct our attention towards what we personally feel really matters. We do not, as it might appear, have to be intimidated by other people's persuasion. If in our own experience we recognize something as worthy, then let's give ourselves to it wholeheartedly and single-mindedly. Renunciation, developed with right understanding, becomes the guiding principle that sustains us on our own true path when we might otherwise have fallen into distraction. So thank you for your question this evening. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Namo Adita Phat. Thanks so much for joining me today.